Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Thursday. It is the 19th day of January 2023. I hope you're all safe and healthy today, and that your family is also safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders every day trying to save lives, and those that make deliveries for us of food and water and mail for our convenience, as well as those that pick up garbage, to keep streets and sidewalks, parks, wrecks, buildings, stairwells clean and disease free. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver the teenagers and children that are the victims of child molestation and pedophilia. The victims also of pornography and child pornography. The victims also of prostitution and child prostitution and human trafficking and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, on the profiteers, and on those perverts that create and market this industry. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and mostly children, and increasingly elderly on the streets of the United States with no roof over their heads, and millions around the world in similar and worse conditions, and blessings upon them. For theirs is the kingdom. There was a basketball game last night. The New York Knicks lost to the Washington Wizards 116-105. It was a dangerous game. It was at Madison Square Garden, number one. And then number two, the Wizards are desperate to try to get back in the playoff race, number two. They were relatively healthy last night as Bradley Beal returned. But the thing is that really, all right, first off, the Knicks just didn't have any energy last night. They just didn't. They were a step slow. They started the game, and you could tell by the first quarter, they really started the game slow. First quarter ended, they were down 13. And really, Washington never looked back. It was a coast-to-coast victory. They never relinquished the lead during the whole four quarters. The Knicks tried to make runs, but they just didn't seem to have that oomph. But overall, the biggest problem, and I'm always getting, every day I get comments where people say, are you concerned about this? Or are you concerned about that? And mostly, no, I'm not. But I am concerned about Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson is the anchor of the defense. Okay, he is. He's the anchor of the Knicks defense. Tom Thibodeau's defense depends on a rim protector. Mitchell Robinson is that guy. Okay, I know Randle is having an all-star, all-NBA season, and so is Jalen Brunson. He has an all-star season. RJ is really coming on like gangbusters, but the Knicks go nowhere without Mitchell Robinson. He has to be there. And so when he went out in the first quarter with the sprained thumb, that was a problem. I was glad to see Jericho Sims get significant minutes, and I wasn't surprised he fouled out because he hardly played. You know, I don't think he played at least in the last 5 to 7 games. He hasn't played. So he came on, and when he came on, they made a run. Okay, but he played 21 minutes. Only had 2 points plus 4, and he fouled out. But he was a positive influence on that defense as far as the anchor. He is not Mitchell Robinson. See, there were some of y'all always looking to hype somebody. Well, you know, he's going to replace Mitch Robinson, just like I guess Hartenstein was going to replace Mitch Robinson. Anyway, but he is better at that than Hartenstein in terms of rim protection, in terms of anchoring the defense, even though he's the third string center. Now, for some of y'all that was questioning what I mentioned about, and I mentioned this before it ever came in the media, about Kristaps Porzingis possibly coming to the Knicks, and about the possibility of him wanting to return to New York. Picture this. Imagine Kristaps at the 5 last night, and Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench with Mobb Deep and Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickly and Deuce McBride. Imagine that lineup, and then talk to me about how it wouldn't work. Kristaps Porzingis last night, as I told y'all, he is playing within himself. He's not the same old kid. He's not the kid that left New York. He's mature. They were describing him as having fun. Yeah, that's the way to describe it. But I see a more mature young man. Somebody that's 27 years old. He was 19 when he came to the Knicks. New York was a big city, an overwhelming city. And so, you know, he got caught up in some things. But now He's more mature. He's more settled. And if you watch the game last night, you see what I mean when I say he plays within himself. And he knows his spots. He knows where he needs to be. And he's very efficient at it. He scored 22 last night, 11 boards, 5 assists, 2 blocks. You know, if you brought that to New York, we'd be in really good shape. But when we lost Mitchell Robinson, I knew there was going to be a problem. And especially we saw Hackenstein, whatever, he came in behind Mitch Rob. And that was going to be a problem. So that to me is the key factor here. I mean, Julius Randle, yes, he was off. He 0 for 5 from 3, 6 of 17 from the floor. He had 15 rebounds, a few of them at garbage time. But the thing is about Julius, even with that game, and even he had some really badly blown defensive assignments last night. Overall, what I'm seeing from him, even consistently, even in this game, is hustle. He is still hustling. He is still running. He is still trying to make a play. It just wasn't there last night. Everybody has off nights. He had his. You know, it's the second night he had one, but it is what it is. Brunson, of course, was Brunson. You know, 32 points, only 4 assists. You know, 1 turnover. You know, so on and so forth. But again, he was victimized on the defensive end. He kept going under on Monte Morris. He kept going under on everybody, and they were just nailing them threes. R.J. Barrett, you know, again, starting off slow, but coming on strong at the end. And that's his style, 21.7 boards, 2 assists. Yeah, he had too many turnovers, though. He has got to be, now, he's the problem turnover-wise a little bit. He's got to be able to rein that in. Quentin Grimes, again, very efficient, 5 of 10 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3. He only gets 10 shots. He scores 14 points. He is the most efficient player as far as offensive efficiency on the Knicks. I haven't read any stats on it, but just looking at him, if you see how he plays the game, he is an extremely efficient player in everything that he does. Stellar defense. He was guarding Bradley Beal last night. Beal had 18, but Beal don't want to see no more Grimes. He don't want to see no more Grimes. Beal had 18. He was 7 of 11, 3 of 3, but most of those came when he got switched off of Grimes. Okay? Because Grimes was all in his grill, man. And so was Deuce when Deuce went in there. So the future to me of the Knicks looks good when I see that. When I see a 22-year-old Quentin Grimes, a 22-year-old Deuce McBride, and a 24-year-old Mitchell Robinson. And we're in the thick of this thing with these kids. We got Durandal that's coming into his own. And, of course, we got Jalen Brunson. And then R.J. Barrett. But to me, those 3 kids, and then R.J. only being 22 as well, those kids is what we were pining for. Well, what I was pining for last year, which we got now this year. And it's all good. So, yes, they just had a bad game. They were a step slow all night. The Knicks from the beginning, they just didn't have that oomph to get over the hump. I don't want to hear anything about Tom Thibodeau overworking them. Please, this is the league. Stop whining. Next game. See? So the games keep coming. It's now this time, like last night, quickly was tremendous. I mean, really, 32 points. 32 minutes, 18 points. And it wasn't just the points. It was just his effect. He always had a positive effect on the floor. He was +9. He always has a positive effect when he's on the floor. Always. I mean, I don't care what he's doing. If he's not a real point guard or whatever, you know, that's questionable. But his effect on the floor, his contribution to winning is always positive. +9 last night. And so, and then McBride was +1. And that's significant because he's been negative for the last couple of games, but he only played 11 minutes. And then, of course, I mentioned Sims' impact. Toppin played 14 minutes last night. He is still getting back into the flow. He's really not shooting. In fact, I noticed last night a lot of the Knicks players were avoiding shooting, because they were just not hitting their shots. I mean, they really, and so some of them were just avoiding. They shot 27% from the three-point line, 42% overall, even 67% from the free throw line. They just weren't shooting well, last night. So it's just one of those nights. It happens to every team. We need to regroup. They need to regroup. So the next game is away, which is a positive thing, and I'm not even joking. It's a positive thing for the Knicks that the next game is an away game. If I'm not mistaken, let's just take a look here at the schedule. Yeah, they're at Atlanta Friday night, and I'm not even gonna look past that. Let's just look at Atlanta Friday night and see if we can get this W and regroup. I'm very concerned about Mitchell Robinson because without him, there's going to be a problem. Period. There's going to be a problem. So we need him back. I'm hoping they said a sprained thumb, so it wasn't a broken thumb. It wasn't a torn ligament, as far as I know. As far as what they reported last night, they said sprained thumb. He will not return. The ball hit his thumb at a very high rate of speed at a very bad angle, and that's what it was. It didn't. As I looked at it, you saw it. It didn't look like it was out of place like RJ's finger was or anything, but it looks like a sprain. So they have like you can put like a wrapping around your hand and your thumb. I've seen that before. It's not like he's a great shooter anyway. We're not worried about that. And he blocks shots with his left hand, so that's all good too. I just need him back for Friday for us to have a chance to beat this Atlanta team. Okay, or I need Jericho Sims to play 30 minutes. One of them. But I'd rather have Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson was the key here. Even though they were a step slow, even though Randle had a rough game, with all of that, if we had Mitch Rob for the 4 quarters, we'd have been in that game last night because he is that important to the Knicks defense. He is that important to Tom Thibodeau's defensive schemes. So I'm just hoping of all of this last night that Mitch Rob is being able to come back and play on Friday. That's what I want to know. In fact, let me look and see if they have anything on injury report for him today. They said he's day. They have his status as day to day as of this morning in the Knicks injury report. They have his status as day to day. So I'm hoping he's ready to go tomorrow at Atlanta. Take that thing up. Let's get back in there because we need Mitch Rob on this defense. When Mitchell Robinson is not in the middle, we get victimized in the paint. Okay, for 2 reasons. Number one, he's a tremendous space in the middle. His athleticism and his ability to guard, and now he's stronger than he was when he was like a rookie or a second year, is tremendous. And then number two, on top of the fact that he takes up the space in there and protects the rim, he is one of the top offensive rebounders in all of basketball. So those two things, if you saw last night how many second and third opportunities the Wizards had, we were missing Mr. Robinson. Okay? Like I said, Jericho Sims did a heck of a job. He went in there and really did a heck of a job trying to fill in for Mitch Rob. And I'm not saying he couldn't do well, but you just can't expect him after sitting on the bench 5, 6, 7 games to just come in and ball out. This is the league. So he needs to know he's going to get some minutes. Okay? Consistent minutes brings consistent performance. He's not getting that. So now I'm hoping Mr. Thibodeau will think about moving him up a little bit because he was very effective in that unit that was trying to make a run to come back. So to me, that's the key. You want to beat Atlanta, you better pray Mitchell Robinson comes back. That's the most important thing right there. So anyway, y'all enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Be safe out there.